Hey guys, I'm Pixel Dan, and this is a review of the Masters of the Universe Classics, Vikor. Now, I personally feel that one of the coolest things about the Classics line is that Mattel is including characters from all spectrums of He-Man's world, including the concepts. I love concept-based figures. I was a huge fan when Hasbro did this with the Star Wars line and gave us those figures based off of Ralph McQuarrie's original art. And I am equally pleased that Mattel is now giving us figures based off of early Masters of the Universe concept art. Vikor comes in the standard Classics packaging. The back of that box shows a nice mix of pre-Turnia figures already released, as well as a bio that actually makes Vikor an official character in this new canon. So even though Vikor is now part of the original canon, the way I prefer to look at this figure is exactly what it is: the concept He-Man. The figure is based off of original artwork drawn back when the Masters of the Universe idea was first being conceptualized. And yes, he does look quite like Conan. The sculpt on this figure is quite amazing. The head sculpt alone is excellent, with that long brown hair hanging out of the silver Viking-like helmet on his head, and that necklace of bones around his neck. Just awesome. But for those out there wondering, no, the helmet is unfortunately not removable.
Vikor, boom, boom, Vikor. Yeah, I totally did that joke again. So here's Vikor. Now, the body sculpt for Vikor is not much different than what we've already seen with past figures, including He-Man. He's got the basic male build that we've already seen with characters like He-Man. Of course, he's got some added details like the cool little shackle bracelets on his wrist. He's got this cool little band going around his bicep, but pretty much everything else we've seen down to the boots here is pretty common. He does have this new unique loincloth piece though, where instead of just the furry underwear, we have this long kind of ripped, torn little piece of cloth that hangs down in the front. It is softer and it's flexible. And we've got the same thing going on in the back here. Now, just like with all the other figures, Vikor does include a removable head, which is how we would remove the cape. So if you want to take the cape off, you do have to pull off his head. And I did kind of notice on mine that it's a little harder to pull off. I don't know if it's just my figure or not, but he's really tight. Actually, all of his joints are tight all the way around. So here's the cape. Now, the cape is actually a pretty solid hunk of plastic. I mean, look at this. I was kind of expecting it to be a little softer than it is. It does have some pliability to it. It does bend, but especially right here where it kind of bows inward, ridges in, it's real hard. It's real solid. So there's not a lot of flexibility there. And of course, when he's wearing this cape, it is going to hinder his articulation because it really kind of gets in the way of his movements, especially in the chest area and in the arms moving them backwards. And then, of course, you add the head on top of that, and it's going to hinder the articulation even more because of the long hair that hangs down from the non-removable helmet. We can turn from side to side, but as you can see, it kind of hangs up on the cape once we get, about halfway around the head. Does the same thing this direction, and looking up is not much of an option because, like other long-haired characters, that long hair does hit the back of his neck.
Adding to the details on the figure, Vikor features short, real metal chains hanging from the shackle-like bracelets. It looks almost as if he was once imprisoned, but used his brute strength to free himself by breaking the chains. Rah! Vikor includes 3 weapons, just like He-Man: an axe, a shield, and a sword. All of the weapons have a really nice, almost rusted type effect to them. The axe has this rusty color on the center of the blades, while the entire shield is colored with this rusty color. I really love the look of this added detail. That shield does have a bit of an issue though. The clip on the back is really loose. It's too big to fit around his wrist, it doesn't fit over the shackles, and even on his forearm above the shackle it still doesn't clip on very tight. It'll stay on, just not as good as I'd like it to. That sword can actually be sheathed on the back part of Vikor's loincloth, and also features the same excellent rusty look. What would it be like if this ended up being the power sword? Vikor is one of those characters that I think you're either going to love or not care for so much. He was not part of the original line, so some folks may have no cares for him at all. But for anyone interested in all reaches of the Masters of the Universe world, including its original concepts, this is certainly an excellent figure to add to your collection. Plus, the design of the figure alone with the terrific details and sculpt are enough to make this one stand out as something special, and in my book, a must-have. And just ask any Conan fan out there. They will want this figure as well just because of how cool he looks. Right. Vikor will be available as the first figure of 2011, released in January on MattyCollector.com. Until next time.